Reminder of the Zoom protocols, participation might, recognized by the chair to speak.
Keep people muted.
I don't see any changes to the minutes on here. Are there any? Or the agenda?
We did receive a request this afternoon.
I'm not hearing. Hang on.
Well, that explains.
That's better.
Uh,
It helps.
Going back to the protocols, we want to remind people to mute themselves until they're ready to be recognized.
Yes, I thought I said that, but maybe I didn't.
And about changes to the agenda, we received a request this afternoon for an application for a banner installation from the high school to be installed later this month. But if the select board is willing to add that, I would recommend it be under other business.
The end of other business. Okay. Any objections to that?
No, but they need to get their act together sooner than the last minute.
Teachable moment.
Agreed.
Because it was 2 more weeks, it'd be what, a week before graduation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the next meeting is the 24th. And
Right.
we want to install it on the 26th.
All right. Public forum. Opportunity for those not on the agenda to briefly speak. Anyone? Nothing, Jimmy? All right, onward. Regular business. Review of removal plan and quotes from area tree removal companies. May include deliberation in executive session. So we got 3 quotes.
Yep.
And it looked like to me like only one of them included grinding the stumps, and they were the most reasonable, or the lowest priced.
Now the DJ's tree service also did tree and stump removal.
Did they?
Yeah, they
But the
broke
price
it down
was-
in there.
Oh, okay.
They were in the middle. And then I wasn't sure about teachers, whether they had stump removal. It was, let me see. Yeah, I don't know from them. Well, no, they do. They have stump grind too. So they have it detailed in.
Okay. I didn't catch it when I read through. I thought it was, I guess it was a separate price on,
The other, yeah.
Yeah, it was confusing. Well, not confusing, but just different how each service laid out their estimate.
but it looks like McAuliffe's is about half the price, and we've used them in the past.
Oh, we have. Okay. They have good reviews on Google and Facebook. I was sort of looking around. I wasn't too impressed with their estimate just because it was so bare bones compared to the other 2. And my only other concern, well, maybe I have some other concerns, was the guarantee of getting all those trees done. So we have 19 trees, whereas the other 2 services, it was a definite, like, these are the trees that are going to be done. Whereas with McCullough, it was sort of like getting these done in 4 days. And so if they did 10 trees, then it seems like it would still maybe be the same price as the other 2. Like if they couldn't get to all of them. So that was my concern.
Eric, what'd they tell you when you spoke with them?
Adam said that he should be able to get all the trees done in about 2.5 days.
Okay.
And then the other day and a half will be whatever I want them extra to do.
Okay.
And teachers, you thought that they said they were going to grind it? Because all I read was it would cut to ground. I didn't really
No,
get
in
that
there,
they were.
if you look
Is
at the picture, if you look at the pictures in their estimate, it says stump grind for the ones
Okay.
that want to be stump ground.
Okay.
And
we need to
McAuliffe is throwing in the grinding.
Yeah.
Can you,
I guess My only other concern with McCullough is that we don't know for sure whether they have traffic control. We
Right.
know that teachers have that in as a separate line item. We'd want to double check and make sure. And even if they added that in for another amount, their estimate would still probably come in lower than the other two.
Yeah, he told me he would have it, but I can check with him.
Okay, it just wasn't in the estimate, so we like to make sure that. I mean, teachers were the only one who actually, put it in their estimate. The other company didn't.
Yep.
Can I ask, did you guys read John's email about the
Yep.
ones on Lower Meadow?
Lower Meadow, Davina,
Yeah.
Devino.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Was it Devino or Lower Meadow?
Devino.
Devino. Mhm.
Okay.
Eric, are you comfortable with McAuliffe's? I know you've used them before a number of times and
Yeah, they're good.
Okay.
We're gonna close the road for him on, what is that, West Pleasant there where that big maple is. I told all three companies that I would close the road for them when they take that tree down, but then they're on their own for the rest of them for traffic control.
Even for West Street. I would think you'd want to. I guess it's harder to close that, right?
Yeah, no, they'd be on their own for traffic on that.
Okay, because that seems like a bigger one than the one on Pleasant.
well, West Street, you got to remember West Street's a state.
Yeah, but is it
State
though?
highway. There's different rules
Mhm.
there. I mean, you can't.
Yeah,
just
but
close it.
it's a state highway when they want it to be a state
Well,
highway.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a state highway when we want to do anything.
That's right.
Yeah, but we can't just close it down without their permission.
That is
There you
correct.
Right. So are you're okay with the trees coming down on Devino? Even
There
though
was
John
only
doesn't
gonna
think
be-
they're necessary?
There's
Go ahead,
only
Eric.
gonna be one of them that I was gonna take down anyways. I wasn't taking all three down this year. I was only gonna do the worst one.
Well,
And
so
if
I had a question about
John
that.
doesn't want me to take them down, he can come clean them up when they fall down.
Well, it wouldn't be that like the falling down. I guess it seemed like his concern was the right of way, or not the
Right.
right of way. The
Yes, they weren't in our right of way.
yeah.
Right.
So if we started taking trees down on personal property, was afraid it was going to set a precedent.
Yes. I mean, and there's a tree directly opposite their property, which looks like it should come down too, but that we're not looking at that. I'd worry about setting that precedent, even if the property owner would like that tree to come down. If it's on their property, I think they have to pay for it. I don't think the town should pay for it.
I mean, it doesn't make any difference to me one way or the other. I was
Okay.
just taking it down so it would alleviate our problem if it does come down in the road.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to clean it up, because if it does come down in the road, we're still liable for cleaning it up.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter to me. If you guys don't want to take them down, to avoid that precedence, that's okay with me too.
Okay. I'm more comfortable with that just because, I don't know. It seems like we get a lot of calls. Hey, I heard that this tree came down. There's one that's awfully close to the town's right of way. Would you mind taking a look at that?
And the
Yeah.
property owner also raised the question of replacement. And if the town was
Yeah.
down, would the town be willing to replace it?
On his property, he replaces his own. if we're taking it down anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we're not taking it down. Is that the consensus?
I think so.
Darla's nodding, Ian's nodding,
Yeah.
Michelle's not.
I'm I'd rather not take it down and to set the precedence is really what
Yeah.
I'm worried about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Julie, you,
Yes, thanks. I wondered, Julie Clark, Pine Street. I wondered if there is a plan for replacement on other takedowns. I know this is a specific issue, but just in general, does the town plan to plant trees?
It's a good question.
I mean, I know in the
We have in the
past,
past.
we have replaced trees where we have taken them down within the right of way, like along Maple Street and Pleasant Street. I think it depends on where they are and the location of them. I don't know that we have a specific policy.
We do have some money available to plant trees though, don't we? Yeah, so.
I believe so. And even if not in this year, then we can certainly budget for it in subsequent years. And there are likely to be grant funds available for tree planting, with so many communities taking down ash trees as part of their plan to replace ash trees.
And I believe we also set aside the Andrew Johnson money, the interest for that to do tree work. So we do have money to replace some trees.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, all of our money for trees was usually used for removing, not planting.
Right. Yeah, I think the Emerald Ash Borer is helping to change some perspectives about that.
It's John Swepson. I arrived later. Were you just talking about the how do you say the name of that?
Devino.
Devino. Were you
Yeah.
talking about those trees?
Yes.
Right, which I looked at, and I think you saw my email about the precedent being set. So I just wanted to second my own emotion, whatever the expression is.
That was a good one.
So I looked at those trees in some detail. So, they have sugar maples all have problems, and those have their problems. And did Eric measure the right of way, making sure they're absolutely not on the right of way? To me, it seemed like they weren't on the right of way.
They're not.
They're not?
I didn't measure them, but just by looking at them, I can tell that they're not in the right of way.
Right. I didn't
Eric, what is the right of way distance?
25 feet from center line.
25 feet
depends
from
on-
center?
That depends on the road, doesn't it, Eric?
Yeah, the class 2, it's 35 feet, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Class 4 is less. So most of all the ones in the village are 25 feet.
25? Okay.
Julie, I don't know if we got the answer you were looking for.
Well, so
I wasn't looking for a specific answer, but it sounds like that it's a possibility. And if funding is an issue, I would be interested in helping out to make sure that there's a program. It doesn't have to be a specific policy, but if and when we get to that point of replacing trees, or if there's space for that, I know of some other people in town that would also be invested in that. So keep it in mind, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, it
Really
might
will. Anytime somebody's willing to help us,
be. Yes.
we don't forget.
Yeah, that's great. I mean,
I'm writing it down right now.
I would like to see, so we have our list of 19 trees that we're removing. It would be nice to sort of set, not necessarily policy, but some way of looking at that and seeing, especially ones in the village that are maybe more cared about than just random road trees that are just coming down because of dangers or whatever. Is to sort of set up something where we do look at that, like the ones on Pleasant Street, the ones on West, and whether we're going to replace them or not, and it should be part of this discussion as opposed to taking them down and then coming back to it 6 months later. I think we should look at that now.
Yeah, and I would agree. I mean, we've had citizens, talk to us before about concern about trees coming down and not being replaced. And if you look at old photos of Bristol, there are a lot more trees than there are now. So I think that's a great idea, Ian.
The subject came up at a recent Emerald Ash Borer Strategic Plan Committee meeting and presentation. And as their role evolves through the Emerald Ash Borer reactions and management, there's the capacity, as long as members remain active and interested, to broaden their scope to include other trees in the streetscape and other areas of town, and like the parks, Sycamore Park, or more other places that require or deserve more attention on the trees and tree management.
That'd be great.
All right, so we don't have a motion to.
I make a motion to accept McCullough's bid for tree removal.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Now that does not include the ones on Devino Lane, correct?
Correct. That's not part of the list.
They're not coming down. Eric's clear on that, so.
No, they're done. They're stay.
Sorry, Eric.
All right. I mean, like I said, I was just doing a preventative thing, so we wouldn't have to clean them up when they do come down in the road, but
Mhm.
it's all right.
Have those homeowners have been notified? They know that they're an issue?
Right, and they were provided information about this meeting.
Jerry's
Jerry's
actually on
on.
right now. He just,
Yeah,
he just
He just
joined.
jumped
All right.
on.
Hi, Jerry.
Oh.
You're muted, Jerry.
I forgot. Sorry, my wife just reminded me. Hi.
So are those trees that we're looking to take down, are they on yours, Jerry? Because we just opted not to take them down because they're out of the right of way, just so you're
Oh.
informed.
Oh, you're not gonna now. Okay. Good. Yeah, because Mike, I'm blank his name. My neighbor across the street, Mike Ledoux, said the town did plant them years ago when he was there. He knew. So, but yeah, I'm a little worried about that. You know, the one because when Rennie put it in for the water pipe and all that with the roots, but you know, being going across the line and that, but I was hoping you guys would take them down.
Well, the issue becomes if we take it down on private property, we set a precedent that we don't
Yeah.
want to set.
Okay.
And that's the only reason. I mean, if it falls into the road, Eric's going to have to come and clean it up. That was why he was looking to take it down.
Yeah.
But we, you know, unfortunately, we don't want to get in the business of taking
No.
down trees on.
Hey,
'Cause
we
I mean,
understand.
You take
Yeah.
one down and the next time it's just,
yeah.
just out of the right of way. And,
Yeah.
well, you took that one down, you can take mine down. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We were hoping to keep them up as long as we can. You know, it's the center's dying out of them, but if they really get bad to the point, then we'll just take them down ourselves, you know,
Mhm.
and do that. Hire somebody because of the power lines and stuff around there. But you know, they're so nice when they're blooming, you know, when they're full and stuff. And even though they're going, it's more the center that's going on them
Yeah.
than the rest. So when we plant new ones, is it because of the salt that does that to these trees because they are close to the road, or should we plant them a little further into the property when we do it?
John can answer that.
Yeah,
I'll
can John
answer that. I can answer that, especially about sugar maples. Sugar maples, as everyone has seen in the village, it's just not. I mean, it's ironic because it's the tree of Vermont, right?
Yeah.
It's the most quintessential tree, and it's the most susceptible to all sorts of different things. And salt is certainly one of them. Compaction of the soil is another one of them. Any digging or root disturbance is another one of them. And then there's also sort of what I've noticed is some trees, you know, one sugar maple next to another one will be fine. So there's got to be some genetic or some diversity within the species that allows some of them to make it and some of them not. But as a general rule of thumb, planting a sugar maple in an urban area is not advised, you know, for all those reasons I just said. And it's kind of sad because they're majestic and beautiful.
Yeah. Because the Boy Scouts were even tapping them for a few times for them. You know, it's great having them coming around and doing that. All right. So
And if I could jump in, in a recent example where trees were removed on Maple Street for a sidewalk project, we arranged to replace one of those majestic trees with I believe it was a sugar maple that was in the yard of the property owner, out of the right of way, well away from the road, well away from the sidewalk on each side, where it would be protected and not intruded on by the things that John just mentioned. So that those might be options for sugar maples if they can be located further away from all those elements.
Yeah. We'll get something in there because we want to plant. It's so nice to have trees along the road and doing that. So, all right. Well, we appreciate you considering it. You know, it would have been nice, but we understand totally. You know, we know how it is with the public. All right.
All righty. Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah. Thanks, Baker.
Any further discussion on the hiring McCulloughs? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raise your hand. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Okay.
And Valerie, is there a time frame for that? How does that go from here on?
That's in Eric's court now to work with the contractor to arrange a schedule.
Okay.
And I hope he can keep you in the loop either through email or whatever works best.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
Mm.
Lost my agenda. I'm getting back to it. Hang on. My printer doesn't work, so I can't print them.
Town green park use application.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thanks,
Good night.
Eric.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
All right. Town green use application, youth lacrosse car wash, Sunday, May 16th, 11 to 4.
I make a motion to approve the application.
I'll second it.
Great. I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Do we know where are they washing on the park?
That's my concern. They're looking at the first like 4 parking spots on the North Street end, which I think is a really bad idea
Yeah, they
for
need to
cars
move in.
coming in and out of there. I think they need to move it down. Even though they say there's only one, they're going to have one car at a time. There's going to be people hanging out on North Street trying to get in or pulling in and just parking there.
Can they move it to the parking spaces on the far side opposite the church? Because it seems like
There's no water source over there.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, do they have a long hose?
Really long hose.
Well, I know. I mean, the Peace Garden, I mean, I know they're washing cars. It's a little different. The Peace Garden has to contend with getting water from where our spigot is. I mean, the reason I suggest that is that it's the furthest away from cars coming in, and it might afford them a little bit more space just on either side.
It's pretty narrow over there, though, isn't it? It feels like it's more narrow than the back side of the park.
I guess because there's parking on the church side, and if cars are there, it becomes narrow. You're right.
Yeah, I've participated in washes for different groups there. We always kind of set ourselves up in the middle, sort of, and
Okay.
There were never more than 2 or 3 cars maybe at a time in the past. I mean, I can't say what it'll be for this event, but it seemed to go pretty smoothly when we've done them, or when I've done them, or when I've brought my car into one. But I agree with Michelle. Moving it down toward the middle
Shift it down.
make a lot more sense.
Do you want to change your motion to that, Ian?
Well, can we get them like a definite, like opposite something, so that they definitely know?
Opposite the dentist, maybe?
Well,
Yeah.
now they're not far from the dentist. It's almost like opposite the parking area for the church.
Right.
I think would be better,
Yeah, which is just beyond the dentist.
beyond the dentist's office.
Right.
So right opposite the driveway to the Baptist church parking.
Yep.
Which might almost be right in line with the gazebo.
Yeah, it is. You're right, Michelle.
Yeah. I
Looking
think
at the
you're
map
right.
now. Yeah, so let's do it where it's directly opposite the that parking entrance for the church, the Baptist church, or where the gazebo is, directly across from that. And that's pretty much dead center of that road.
We're
And-
fine to move anywhere you want us to. I just don't want to interfere with church.
It would be on Sunday, right?
Hmm.
And on Sunday.
How much church is happening?
I
Are
don't,
churches back
Well-
to normal?
Yeah, the Catholic Church is doing theirs outside.
Oh,
I think
The
the
audience
church
for car washers.
What was
say that
that?
again, Val.
That's a captive clientele for car washing.
Yeah, I'll give you my keys. Do it while I'm attending mass.
Valet car washing.
I mean, I know the Baptist church time is not at the same time as the Catholic church. So, I mean, if you interfere, I don't know. What time was it, Julie? What time was your?
we thought we'd set up at 11. I think,
Well, by
sorry, I should
I
have
think
my
by then the
application.
church might be over with, because I think the Baptist church might be at 10.
Yeah, yours is 11 to 4.
Yeah, load in at 11 and then we'd wash 12 to 3. I was trying to avoid the church time, but I didn't know also about reserving the spaces ahead of time. It would be nice to reserve them just so that we can count on a certain area. But again, I don't want to block off things that are normally used for a church. And I don't know how to know that. I guess I could go down. I could have gone down yesterday and looked.
So if you're down there at 11 as the cars leave, you can take their spots.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, you could
Yeah.
also-
So as long
Go on,
They
go
had
on,
some
Julie.
kids in there.
as long as it's okay to block off spots the night before, that's what we wrote on the application. So I'm assuming that's okay since you said you wanted to approve it. As long as it's okay to block off spots, I don't really care where they are. We'd originally thought about 4, and when I walked around with Meredith, she thought 6 was more appropriate. So if that's an okay amount, we can make them be wherever you think is most appropriate.
Are the cars pulling into the diagonal space, or they're going to be parking parallel to the park?
Parallel.
So like
Parallel.
using more spaces, right?
Mhm.
I mean, because there's also, if you use the spaces that are closest to the church, you could then sort of lead into like the where the crosswalk is almost, but not into the crosswalk, but just use 6 from that direction. But then it's
But
sort
you're
of,
getting farther away from the water source, so you.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's okay. We have hoses.
I just don't know, I don't know how many people are attending mass at this point, so I can't tell you if taking those parking spaces away the night before is okay or not okay. Does anybody else have a thought about that?
Michelle,
Yeah,
the Catholic Church only has one mass on Sundays now.
right, and it's outside, and
No,
that's it. Is that it? Is that it?
That's
It's not at
inside.
8:30, is it?
It's 8:30 mass Sunday morning.
8:30. Yeah, but I
It's
was talking
inside.
about the Baptist church.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry.
Well, the Baptist Church does have their own parking lot, and I can, in this Google Maps thing, I can see 10 cars parked there.
Right. Yeah,
So
they do.
They have more parking than the other church there. So
Right.
I would say taking 6 opposite that parking lot should be fine. The other spaces that are closer to it are actually, it's easier for people to go right across the street to the church if they need to, just for
Mhm.
accessibility. So having ones that are opposite the parking lot seem like a better choice, and it's the middle of the park, and you're still near water.
Mhm.
If I could add that Meredith sent me information today that they would like a rain date of May 23rd.
Well, if it's raining, then they won't need hoses.
I know. There you go.
Just get soap and sponges.
That's not.
Yeah.
So I would say amend my motion to include just the change of location, just moving it down slightly and have it be opposite the parking lot of the Baptist church.
And allow them 10 space or 6 spaces, not 4.
Darla, you're okay with that change?
I am. My only other question is someone will have to unlock that spigot for them, correct? Is it still locked? It used to be.
Correct.
Meredith would know.
Yeah, she can get that.
Okay.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried.
Great. Thanks,
Thank
Julie.
you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Come
Julie.
down and get your car scrubbed.
How much you charge?
Appreciate it.
If I bring
Um,
mine down, they might change their mind.
Well,
Or they
yours
might
might
have
be
to
extra.
charge double.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much we're charging, Valerie, or
Yeah, Valerie.
what did you charge in the past? Or Darla said you did other.
Gosh, that was a long. You're searching my memory banks for details. I mean,
Field hockey used to do $5
yeah, I think
when they did it.
I remember thinking it was like probably the same because it's easy for somebody to pull out a $5 bill. You're not making change. You're not dealing with that part of it. I think it was like $5.
Oh, I think
And
it's
then if
easier.
they,
to
and
pull
then
out
if
a
they
10.
vacuum, Young Life would do $5, and then if they vacuumed them out, it was something else.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking 10. I don't know if that's too much, but we'll see.
It's a fundraiser. If it's a fundraiser and people are going to support it, I don't think the price is an issue.
Right.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, the
A
people
$10
are
bill is
gonna-
easy to pull out too.
But you better tell them they better do a good job if you're charging 10.
Right.
That's right.
People
They're
can
waxing
get
and polishing
ugly.
it.
Well, I appreciate all the advice and thank you very much for all the work you're doing. I'm going to go, but I appreciate the other work you're doing tonight.
Sure.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Julie.
Good night. Onward, Holly Hall Bell Tower floor repair. Consideration of structural engineer's recommendation and review of repair scope of work.
Hopefully folks had a chance to review the letter report and the photographs. I summarized the highlights, I think, in my
Mhm.
notes. She, as we talked about at the last meeting or previous meeting, she felt the need to have a second site visit to look at the ceiling over the clockworks, and the select board, after much discussion, felt that that was not necessary.
She, meaning Barb Evans.
Correct.
So her primary concern was warranty, having somebody install
Yeah.
the epoxy that was worn.
Well, that was the separate issue of review of the repair quote. But for the overall bell tower repair, she felt the second visit was warranted. She questioned some of the strength and stability of like the live edge joist, and that there were still some. She drew attention to some openings in the woodwork of the bell tower where water can also get in besides the floor. She recommended that those be filled. And then regarding the review of the Rooster construction quote, the main thing that she drew out of that was that Rooster construction is not a certified installer of that product, and that there was no mention of a warranty. She also was under the impression that the covering would be installed over the existing floor, the metal flooring. And I talked with Chris Hahn this afternoon, and he confirmed that no, in his quote is demo of the existing flooring and laying some other material to strengthen, or will certainly assess what's below there and make whatever repairs might be necessary, but also adding a supporting structure on top of the flooring that's there before the surface material is placed.
And no mention of any warranty or.
No mention of a warranty. He said he's been doing this for a really long time, and if something fails, he'll fix it.
Well, Ted's on. Ted.
He did not anticipate anything failing.
He does excellent work, and he's a good, honest, reliable guy.
Okay. Well, so we got Ted's thoughts on it a couple meetings ago, and that's why we decided to go the direction we did, to not have her come back. I guess the only thing that I'm still concerned about is just the warranty. You know, if the product does have a warranty, but it's installed by someone who's not unable to give us the warranty, if for some reason he doesn't honor that, then we have nowhere to go in terms of even talking to the company that makes the product. So that would be my only concern. I'm not doubting his integrity or anything like that, but it just gives that extra insurance to be able to have a real warranty on that product. And because Barb raised that as a red flag, or just as something to look at, I do think that it's sort of be nice to have that warranty.
So what would the warranty be? I mean, are we talking a year, 5 years, 25 years? I mean, do we know? No.
No.
How is the warranty different from any other roofing? I mean, what does it depend on?
It depends on whether they're still around and willing to come back. I mean, I personally, if he's using the product and he knows how to apply it and he's been doing it, we got 30 years out of the last job, and I think if we start searching, we're going to find that people are busy, and that somebody who has that title of a certified installer is going to be way more expensive.
That's true.
Where are you going to find one that is a certified installer?
Well, that's it. That's the thing. Part of the issue, and I don't believe, Valerie, there wasn't any in state, were there?
The list that Barb Evans provided with her report or her email response did include a list of apparently certified installers. It wasn't specifically labeled that way, but presumably that's why she shared the list. And they're all in Vermont, I
They
think,
are all in Vermont.
most of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just, you know, in the past
Yep.
we've had, and this man will do slate as well, which is another issue that we have. And I think we'll get the most bang for our buck by using somebody who has the ability to do everything we want done.
Correct.
So
I asked
have a
Chris-
question. I have a question. If we go with Rooster and they do some demolition and they find something else that they have to fix or whatever, what happens at that point? I mean, we have an estimate from him, but I'm assuming that's not all encompassing.
His estimate included, where was it? His estimate included the addition of like time and materials. I'm looking at it here. Anything above and beyond this contract will be billed time and materials.
Mhm.
So, yeah, basically.
But I guess my question is if he comes across something that's, major, does it then have to come back to us to approve, or then we leaving it up to you, Val, to say yay or nay?
I would recommend that the select board give me and Meredith some latitude on that. And if in our judgment, it's like kind of in our judgment crosses a threshold that it would, and it depends too on time sensitivity. If he's right in the thick of it and something needs to be done quickly because now the thing is torn apart, and we might not have time to think about it unless we can consult. I can consult with the chair and the vice chair for direction and report back.
I would say that I wouldn't have a problem with that because in the past, we've given you the okay to go ahead with something. And if you have any doubt at all, you always reach out to us to make sure that we're on the same page. So I don't have a problem with giving you that ability so that we don't get held up.
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
I
I agree with that.
And chances are in the moment, if there's something serious that needs to be dealt with, I don't think anybody's going to be nickel and diming the situation. They're going to focus on getting the job done quickly and efficiently and responsibly.
And I know, Ted's always floating around town. You could always grab him for a second opinion too, to take a look at it. I'm
That's
sure
true.
he would be willing to.
Yeah.
I hope he would be willing.
377-1421.
Okay, there you go.
$500 an hour.
Yeah. So what do you need, Val? You want a motion to go ahead with Rooster?
That would be, I mean, if that's the direction that the select board, if there's agreement on that, then yes, a motion would be appropriate.
So a motion
make
to
a-
go with Rooster Construction, giving Val and Meredith authority to approve any additional work necessary within reason. I mean, you say anything above $10,000, you got to come back to us, or?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that if they get something that's above a couple $1,000s, we're going to hear
Right.
from them
Yeah.
before it gets done. So
Can I also encourage you to include how you're paying for it in the motion?
The
we're
original
gonna have-
plan.
We're going to have the treasurer write a check.
That's right. Or a personal credit card.
Right.
The original thinking was the Capitol building.
PA report, Valerie. So if you had suggested something, I didn't see it.
Okay. The original proposal was for it to come out of the Capitol building fund.
Okay. It wouldn't hurt to include that in whoever is moving, just
Yeah.
so that.
That was
So
going to
Michelle,
be my
in your
suggestion.
motion there,
Sorry,
you
Peter.
include
not
that.
trying to steal your thunder.
Oh, so you want me to motion it, huh?
Yeah,
You
you amend your motion, Michelle, and add that, and I'll second it.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we move forward with Rooster Construction, giving Val and Meredith authority to approve additional work as necessary within reason, and the money shall come out of the Capitol Building Fund.
Second.
Boy, that was a surprise. Any further discussion? Joel, you're
silent.
Yeah, just, you said that, Barbara said that, you talked about the warranty, or what is the warranty, number one? And what is also this epoxy or whatever it is that Rooster is putting on? First of all, are there people who are qualified that she gave you a list within 100 miles of here? Number one question I have. And number two is, the pointing of the finger, if something happens and they'll say, the epoxy maker says, no, it wasn't properly installed, and then Rooster says, I properly installed it. Where do we go? I mean, I guess we hired an engineer, and she asked the question, and is there people around that are within 100 miles that could do this, or could he sub it out to them, or could he get approved to put it on?
I asked Chris Hahn if he had considered or would consider becoming certified, and he paused and said no, he hadn't considered it because he's been doing it for a very long time, and feels that he knows what he's doing and has not had any problems.
It's a long time of doing this epoxy, or
it's not epoxy; it's a rubberized
rubber membrane
thing.
EPDM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of it, and he has no failures.
And the list that
Jolie, to answer your question, there's True North Roofing in Bristol. There's somebody in Waitsfield, somebody in Brandon, somebody in Williston, Burlington, Williamstown, Essex Junction, Barry, and Colchester.
Okay.
I think my biggest concern, Joel, is having somebody that can do all our work at once, that can do our slate and their bell tower while they're all there, and deal with any issues we have at the time.
Can I bring something else up? I talked to the guy that installed the clock faces 30 years ago, and evidently those clock faces were supposed to have been sealed every 4 years, and nothing has been done. And in talking with him, he thought it would be a real good idea to seal the clock faces while the lift is there doing the roof of the bell tower and the roof of the slate work.
Joel, you were going to say something else?
Could we get a list from Rooster of projects that he's done in this EDM? So we could just verify, if it's Hoping Ching's restaurant in Burlington or something, say, did it 25 years ago, we haven't had a leak, it works out great. Could we just check the references?
I don't see why we couldn't.
The places that he's done? I'd like to get it all done by one contractor myself.
How would that affect the decision tonight? Do you hold off on finalizing it until you've had a chance to review the results of the reference check?
I guess just to verify that, it's, if he gives you a list and they come back and you've called them and say, yeah, he did great work. We never had a leak. We haven't had a leak since, and it leaked like a sieve before he worked on it, put the EDM on. And those are great references. Then I'd say, okay, let's go.
Do you want it?
Yeah. I agree with that, except is he going to give us someone who didn't have a good experience? You know what I mean? Are we just spinning our wheels? He's not going to send us to someone who had a leak.
Or maybe he would if he went and repaired it.
Possibly.
I mean, if you did work for me and there was a problem and you came back and fixed the problem, you're going to get rave reviews.
Right.
So I'd be more apt to give you a name of somebody who I'd fixed the problem for than somebody who, obviously I'm not going to give you a name of somebody that I didn't go back and fix, but
right.
I don't know. The biggest problem is finding somebody that's available now. And this is something that we want done this season, and we want the bell back in there by winter. I know that's a big concern of yours, Joel, is making sure it gets back in there before, as so it don't end up sitting out on the lawn forever.
Right.
So it seems like we haven't been able to get anybody who is willing to do the slate and the other stuff we want done. And I just, I gotta believe that he's reputable or Ted speaks very highly of him. So he's got to be halfway decent.
And Chris did say that he'd be more than willing to do the additional slate work at time and materials. And he's familiar with the roof, and he's familiar with some of the temporary repair that was done inside to repair the leak.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of hiring Rooster, say aye or raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Continued consideration, I'm getting tongue-tied, of amendments to the Bristol procurement and purchasing policy. There we go.
So this did get added to the agenda a little bit hastily, just because it's been since February when we first looked at it. And other than the initial comments at that time, it really hasn't been, it's been kind of dormant. And because we are on the threshold of embarking on a pretty large federally funded project, and we've been advised that our current policies don't meet federal standards, I think it would be good to have something in place. And this is my best shot at this point in time to put it together and it's compiled from various examples and guidances. The main thing that I changed or updated since the February review was adding reference to the authorization or the possibility of adding penalties for people that miss deadlines or delivery dates. And I inserted dollar figures where there were blanks to coincide with the federal $250,000 threshold for sealed bid purchasing or services and a $5,000 threshold for recurring purchases that need to go out to bid at least one time. Other than that, I think it's largely the same. One question that was asked initially too was the question of debarment, but the way that the language is in the draft right now, it doesn't require the town to ignore or not hire contractors that are debarred if you want to go ahead and do it.
Is this going to be for this policy will be for everything?
Well, let me share my screen again. Where'd it go? Wait a second. It slipped away. Guess it's not going to work.
I have it open on my screen if you want to take a look at it.
All right. Let me, 'cause I've got too many windows open, so I can't find out which one it is.
I've got a bunch of windows open too, but I think I can get it.
I was gonna say I have it as well.
I have it too. Let's all share it.
I don't have it, Ian.
Well,
Perfect.
Now, look, if I'm reading this right. The sealed bids are only for anything above the $250,000 mark. Anything below that does not have to be a sealed bid.
Correct. And I had a conversation with Chris Purley, who had a chance to look it over. And because one of the concerns was the sealed bid process, because obviously the fire department didn't follow that particular process in the purchase of the fire truck. And the way I read this draft is that the select board would still have the authority to waive any of these requirements for any particular purposes, and especially if it's a locally funded only, purchase. And his other suggestion was in section 5. Let's see, how is it numbered? Sealed bid process, which is section 4, and then subparagraph 5. They're not page
Keep going, Darla.
I'm going. Try to follow the direction. I'm almost there. There we go.
Yeah, criteria that compliance with product scope and specifications be added. For example, you might get several bidders with varying ranges of prices, but some of them might have completely ignored some of the specifications, and that's not specifically listed as a criteria, even though it might be common sense. It wouldn't be a bad thing to include it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that might have been a concern in particular with the fire truck, where different vendors responded to different criteria in different ways. So in terms of scoring and that kind of thing. So that was a suggestion to add that. Otherwise, the core of Bristol's current policy is still intact. It's mainly these other things that are added to respond to the federal guidances. And for the regular purchases and major purchases, it's still, especially if they're all locally funded, still allows flexibility. For example, the sidewalk project that's going out to bid. We don't know exactly how much that's going to come in for. I think, well, I haven't looked, but it might be in the $30,000 range. But that can still be, it doesn't have to be a sealed bid process. I like it that bidders can submit their bids by email. I just think it's convenient for everybody. And I don't want to do anything that would prevent that. Whereas a lot of this federal stuff, that doesn't seem to be an option.
Is there a way we can create a federal section so that we really can simplify the process for what we need to follow for local money or federal money? I just think it gets really, really gray and really muddy when we have to read through it to figure out what portions of which we have to follow. I understand that it's all intact with what's kind of currently in place, but with it all mixed in, it would be really nice if it was kind of crystal clear in the sense of that we're using capital funds, so this is what we follow. We're using grant money that's federally funded, so this is what we need to follow. I just feel like when we get it all mixed in, it makes it too gray and too muddy.
Yeah, right there where Darla is hovering right there. I called that out where this department only applies if it's supported by federal or state funds. So yeah, there it is blended in. One question, I mean, that's not a bad idea at all. One question that I had early on was, to what degree though would the select board want some of these provisions anyway for local stuff? If it makes sense for state and federal funding, does it also make sense to consider for local funding? So like debarment, for example. But that would put the onus on all of us to check the listings every single time, which we might not remember to do.
Mm.
And what if we don't? What if we locally hire somebody that is debarred and didn't know it? And so I don't know the answers to that.
Darla, can you slide back up a ways where it said
Say when.
but where it says the Davis-Bacon Act, $2,000. There's one I just then you.
Yeah, that's federally funded.
So that's
the kind of example that would be useful in Jen's idea to pull that out and show that that's. But yet code of conduct though might not be a bad thing to include.
Right. Okay.
Right. Am I still looking for the
I'm
piece?
not
It's
sure.
under,
little
it's
bit
under
more.
2 bid specifications. Section 4, number 2.
Oh, section 4. Sorry, I'm on section 6.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta remember
That's also-
my Roman numerals.
It's
Page
also
4.
in section 3.
Yeah, there it is.
Didn't see it yet.
A question
No,
that-
keep going up, Darla.
I'm
Keep going
going.
up. Yeah,
Bid submission.
we're in section 4.
There it is.
Yeah, Davis Bacon Act.
Yeah.
So that is just for federal. So for a construction project over $2,000 subject to make it will be provided with a copy of the most current wage determined. So that's just if we take this, when we're going to get this federal money. We have to, okay, that's not like we just passed to have Rooster do the clock tower, that he doesn't have to.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, I guess, Joel,
I
I
can
was,
tell
I
you-
was
I can
thinking of
te-
the same thing. Sorry, go ahead, Peeker.
I can tell you that that's a nightmare for contractors because we're working a federal job right now and we have to submit, in order for us to get paid, we have to submit
Right.
pay stubs.
Right.
So that they're sure that the people we have working are getting the wage that they're supposed to be getting. And it's a real pain.
And it drives up the cost of the project.
Yeah.
Right. 'cause
Yeah,
there's
I
no-
mean, I guess I'm just concerned with it all being blended like this. Does it somehow eliminate local contractors because there's confusion or
Yeah.
non-understanding? Or, I guess my thought was that if it was separated and we were doing our own sidewalk project, that we could say, this is what we follow, and we can put it out to local contractors, and Davis Bacon isn't touching it because we're not concerned with that. Or if that's something we are concerned with, then we're adding it. I don't know.
Can we, so is there an option instead of doing a federal section, can we just do a local one and a federal one, 2 different documents? Or would that be more confusing than just having a federal section?
I don't think that would reflect well
Right.
through the
I agree.
eyes of the federal agencies.
Okay.
Double standard kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what is the ability to create a federal section? Because reading that, just as Joel pointed out, he was asking the question, so does that mean that Rooster is affected? So we don't know just by looking at that. And I think Jen's right. I think a lot of people might be confused. Putting it in a federal section might help with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Valerie, what would happen if we did, let's say we do you mentioned in one of your TAs that one of the things that you have on your possible list is some repair at the pump house and then the sewer upgrade. So if we use federal money and let's say we use 50-50 federal money and then some local match. Do we have to then, does the whole project have to be federally Davis
Yes.
and all that?
Yes. Yep.
If you use any
Even
of the
if it-
funding?
Yeah. No matter a nickel, and it has to go through the federal process.
Okay.
It wouldn't be worth it for a nickel.
Maybe 10
I
cents.
would hope not.
Not a nickel, maybe a quarter, but not a nickel.
If it's a nickel, it's going to cost you 100.
Right. Right. In fact, just related to this, I was talking with Mike Winslow at the Regional Planning Commission last week about sidewalk and bike projects and funding sources through the Bike Ped program. And if it's a construction project under a certain threshold, the advice was don't even bother applying to the Bike Ped program because the federal hoops that you have to go through are just so onerous. You really want it should be $1 million project before you even think about applying. It's just so onerous to go through it all.
So dream big is the message there. Yeah. Do we need to see this anymore? Would you like me to stop?
So I'm hearing to take another whack at it and try to reformat it and consolidate things, perhaps more concise.
Could this document say, Valerie, that if any federal or state grants apply or are attributed to this project, any bidding project, that the following extra will have to be added in. I don't know exact language I'm trying to use.
Well, the debarment and the
yes,
some of those other things, the affirmative.
I'm thinking more the Davis Bacon and those types of things.
Sure.
I'm thinking you leave the debarment if they've been debarred for one state or one county, or then probably we want to take a second look at them.
Well, actually another way I can approach it for a local perspective, in terms of vendor selection, under the section of vendor selection, just add that as a consideration if they've been debarred. Criteria for bid selection. Not an obligation, it's just a consideration. And the other question about whether Bristol would want to consider a statement anyway of including affirmative action, encouraging women and minority-owned businesses to apply, and that we make effort to reach out if we can.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Val, I think there are some sections that you can take out of the federally funded and put in the general one that would apply, whether they're federally state funded or whether they're local, like that statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a directive, but an aspiration, perhaps, to have the intent to do that and make efforts to do it, so that we're conscious of it being a consideration. Right now,
is it possible to kind of just have a kind of generic, we're going to follow all of this, and then for local funds, this is the process, and for federal funds, this is the process, so that the overlap stuff is listed kind of in the beginning, and that it's really the process and how it's handled and how it's paid for is what the difference is.
Can give that a try.
So,
I
Val,
don't know. I mean, I haven't worked on it, so I'm just tossing out an idea. So I just didn't know if, the things like Michelle says that do overlap.
Right.
We have the generic part kind of in the beginning.
Yeah.
That we're agreeing that we're all on that same page, but that federal projects are going to go this way and local projects will go this way.
And we might want to throw in the option in the local part to say that we might choose to use the sealed bid process in certain situations. Maybe the threshold there is $250,000, and
Val, is there anything in our normal procurement policy that would fall under the federal process as well?
not specifically that jumps out at me. I think in the past it's been used anyway in some instances. I'm trying to think of a specific example, one where, I guess one of the trucks, I think through the Public Works Department, vendors submitted sealed bids, and there was a public opening and we did that process. But it wasn't the process itself wasn't as rigorous as the federal. It was a little bit more casually initiated, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think is it a real problem to try to separate that?
No, I'll give it a try, and I'll try to see that it's ready for the next agenda. And because we've had a good discussion about it tonight, maybe it won't take so much. It won't take a lot of time at the next one.
Perfect. We ready to move on?
Yes.
Our 15 minutes are up for that.
Yes, that was something new that was put on the agenda, just as kind of a way to keep us moving, and I thought it was a great idea. I won't say whose idea it was, Jen.
Give credit where it's due.
There you go.
It is a good idea, and I've been timing everyone, and actually we've been pretty good.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Ooh.
All right, we're moving on. Number 5.
Ian's going to be the clock watcher.
I am.
Consideration of proposed COVID-19 reopening plan.
Right.
Go Sharon and Jen.
I think we should do it in May and not October.
I know.
I saw that and I was like, is there some reason it's so much later? I wonder what's going on.
We are very cautious.
Very.
There are some people would say October would be good.
I know.
That's true.
I don't know where that came
2022.
from. It was a surprise to me when it was pointed out. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, well, so yeah, that was not intended. It was supposed to be May 17th.
Okay.
And since then, since the report was produced, we've had more conversation about it, and would like to suggest that it doesn't need to wait till next week, that Sharon would prefer that it open tomorrow.
How about it?
So moved. So moved.
Second.
I mean, you're still social distancing, you're still masking, and you're still
Yeah.
taking appointments. So it's not like it's a free for all.
No.
And you're fine with having Friday closed to the public day and us still working? Because this summer is going to be tough with just me there.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
think
that.
that makes good sense, Sharon.
Yeah.
And is the select board okay with me sticking to a 1 day at home plan?
Sundays? Sure.
No, I said 1 day.
That's a day.
Yeah, Sunday's a day.
Yeah.
He's right there.
I know.
Val's already working at home on Sundays.
I know.
Don't do that to her.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm fine
If
with
she,
that.
if she works Sunday, she should take the middle of the week off then.
Oh, there we go. Val, did you decide on a day?
Well, like tomorrow, because we sometimes following a select board meeting and kind of things are slow moving the next day. So I would aim for the Tuesdays following a select board meeting. And then other days where like next week I have a 7:30 in the morning meeting that I might as well just park it for the day and make it a Thursday day at home. So it might vary depending on particular schedule details. But in
Basically
I'd
a
aim
floating day.
partly, I'd aim to anchor it on Tuesdays just for predictability. But if something comes up, I would move it.
Okay.
Let
I
people-
mean, I think as long as people know, then
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
and we'll see how it works. We anytime that folks feel the need to revisit it, we can do that.
Good. Anything more on reopening?
And Val, your hours, right, you're gonna push it from 9. Is that correct?
9
Okay.
till whenever.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Okay, thank you.
So are we going to open next week?
Tomorrow.
Kidding when I said so moved.
No,
Ian
we're
seconded
opening
it.
tomorrow.
You
We're opening tomorrow,
Yeah,
Joel.
you can't put a motion ahead of there, Jill. Come on now. You got to stick to your motion.
No, I'm gonna stick. Was it
If-
tomorrow?
if-
I'm gonna open?
Tomorrow.
If Jen and Sharon and everyone are okay with
Yeah.
that, then I think tomorrow would be fine.
Get out the grand opening, Stein. Come on inside.
It'd be like, if that's your soft opening, right?
I mean, are
Yeah.
people banging down the door just dying to get in?
Actually,
Yes, we have people banging on the door, on the window.
and windows.
I know. I saw somebody go
Suggesting
through
we we
the
get a
window.
doorbell. It's like, no doorbells.
And if
Well,
FedEx leaves the package right on the doorstep one more time.
Right. Well, no, that's fine. If you folks are ready for that, that's great. And I'd rather see the building have less damage to it.
Well, at least they're not throwing bricks.
Not yet.
No, is
Right.
No,
that,
they're throwing the slates that have fallen off the
I
roof.
was
Right.
gonna
The ones
say,
that are
if they
falling
could-
off the roof.
If they could throw the slate, that would be great. We could reroute.
Who seconded that motion?
I did.
Ian.
No, thank you.
further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, raise your hand. Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you. And thank you,
Yeah.
Sharon and Jen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have a good day tomorrow, ladies.
Yeah. That was only 3 minutes that we discussed that. We are cranking.
All right.
James time.
Continued American Rescue Plan Act update and primary discussion.
Preliminary.
Preliminary.
But that's okay.
Hey, it began with a P.
Primary
It
sounds
ended
You
with
got
a
it
Y.
like
mostly
that.
right.
Well,
And had
I'd
some
like to
letters in
thank-
between.
I'd like to thank Val for attending that meeting with Leahy
Yeah.
and voicing all of the stuff that Bristol needs. So he knows now. So that's good.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's why it's taking longer than people expected to get any information, because there's still nothing. So maybe they had to claw back a little bit and reevaluate based upon that amazing feedback. But we'll see. But still, there's no news yet on that.
Okay.
So there's no idea of what restrictions, they haven't set any of the restrictions or what can or cannot be done. Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
So then there's
That's
no
not
sense in us
surprising.
wasting any more time on it. We're really
Right.
moving along.
So I have one question. Did they give a time frame at all, Val? When the money?
Well, the plan, as I understood it, was that it needed to be spent, that municipalities had till 2024. I don't know if that's January or December 2024.
Right.
To do this, and we all were in agreement that that's just not enough time, because it takes time to put funding packages together, and
Right.
the tractor availability and so many other variables.
Yeah.
The rate they're going, you won't get an answer until January 1st, 2023.
And the problem is going to be with everybody getting this money, contractors are going to be swamped, and
Swamped.
you're not going to get the bang for your buck if it.
Yeah.
You would if it was let out for a longer period of time. So.
Right, and
And
especially
that's-
especially if the contractors are having to respond to these complicated bid packages. because of the-
Yeah.
With all these new federal guidelines.
Exactly.
Right.
All right.
Hmm.
Now I lost my screen. Okay. Review of Bristol Town Plan Implementation Matrix and Select Board Assignments.
I'll be honest, I have not reviewed or taken a close look. I skimmed it at this matrix that the Planning Commission has drafted for stakeholders who share some responsibility in implementing the town plan, for them to be aware of what they are and to try to identify ways to, well, if they agree, presumably the different stakeholders agree and kind of knew ahead of time that this was coming, or we're involved in creating the strategies, that it remains on the radar and in their work programs and their budgets. So I think that's a valuable tool that the Planning Commission is using to do that.
Yeah, I
So-
skimmed it as well, but I need to get more time to do it.
Yeah. So if select board members are not prepared to have a conversation tonight about the content of the matrices.
So here's my question. I did look at it, like, I skimmed it. I haven't read it all yet, but
Right.
so are they looking for us to help them determine how to implement this plan and who's going to do what? Is that?
Well, that's what the matrix identifies. It lists specific strategies and who's been designated as the primary entity that's responsible for implementation. And so one of the matrices lists just the select board responsibilities as the primary doer. And then another matrix, I'm not sure if it was included in this package, actually. Yes, it was. Lists all of them and all the different stakeholders, because the Planning Commission is looking for feedback if folks think that there's overlap, or they're looking for feedback from folks about how they've interpreted these assignments of implementation. So, and they're hoping to do it by their next meeting, which I think is the 18th, next week.
Yeah.
So if individual members have feedback to offer, then that might be helpful. But at least this agenda item is putting this on your radar, the select radar, and it may be when we've had a chance to look at it more closely, and the Planning Commission has processed the feedback that it gets from all the other folks, then there might be an opportunity to come back and look at this more closely.
I mean, what I looked at and I saw what they had signed for the select board, a lot of it looked like stuff we were already on board with anyway,
Right.
dealing with. So I just have to look at it closer.
Yeah, just look for the things that are new.
Right.
That's the thing to do. It's like, oh, didn't see that coming. So
Thought they wanted to have a board member on the Mount Abe School District or whatever. And I'm like, really?
you need to start cloning yourselves.
Yeah.
So that's all I have on that.
All right, we'll move on. Approval of March 29th, April 12th, and April 26th, 2021 meeting minutes.
I did not get a chance to go through these.
Yeah, neither did I.
Okay, yeah, the April 26th,
did.
April 12th were sent out today and still working on the 29th.
So we're gonna move those to next meeting? Is that what everybody's,
Yes.
I mean, I'll get to them this week and get them
Alright.
to Val, my changes to Val.
authorized accounts payable, warrants, and liquor license is if any? Do we know what the warrant was this time around?
Yeah, it was, let's see, $39,730.65.
Oh, cheap one.
Very cheap.
Yeah.
What have we not been paying?
Alrighty. Select board roundtable. Joel.
I just don't have anything except I'd like to have a goal for the board at our sometime in July, maybe. I look at our next meeting and our first meeting in July will be the 5th. I'd like to see us possibly maybe the big room over at the fire station, the 7 of us to meet and got the great big TV and everybody can still be zoomed on, but we'll meet in person. I'd like to have some kind of a goal to get back in person.
I was curious as if we could use Neat to monitor the Zoom, if we could have them on the screen and use that to monitor the Zoom, unless Ian's got an idea of how we can do this, to monitor it so that if we're together, we don't all have to be looking at a computer screen if the camera's set up but I don't know if that's an option. It was just a thought. If they're recording us and we have it on the screen, whether it be at the town offices or the fire station or wherever, is there a way to monitor it that way so that we can see everybody that we're talking to, or is that not?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, there's a couple things. You can have Neat with a person with a camera, and essentially their camera is the camera for their Zoom. So people viewing, at their home will see us, and the camera will pan and get everyone with the microphone. We could have a TV set up so we get a Zoom feed so we can see people and get people's questions in. One of the ideas that Mary and Sean and I were talking about was the laptop or computer or phone in front of us that we're not really paying attention to. We just set it up so we each have our own little screen. And I bring my laptop anyway, so I'd have it, and we would mute all of our laptops and just have it recording. So you wouldn't need Mary or Sean there with a camera because we'd have our own cameras, and it would switch when we spoke and things like that. I might try that approach first, because then it doesn't have to have another person in the room, and if we're all vaccinated, it doesn't matter at that point as much. But just in case, we're not at that point, then, having the computers is sort of nice because you do get a better shot, and you don't have to have someone there from Neat filming. But you can do both ways. Yes.
Ian, so if Neat is in the upstairs, the big room in the fire station and filming this, I'm saying 7 of us because our clerk, it's got to take minutes. Do they have to watch their TV on channel 1080 on the cable?
You can watch the channel or
then if they want to call in, or if they want to get on, we'll have the big TV on a Zoom. Is that what I'm
yeah.
picturing? Maybe I'm off on this.
So how would someone would have to be monitoring the chat as well?
Yeah, that's why with the laptop set up,
right.
Like I could do that. You have the laptop on and you're talking to each other in the room. Each of us has the device that we use right now. We just happen to be in the room. So we could still look at the chat, have a question coming in. For me, that seemed the easiest, because then it just reduces the amount of people in the room at one time. And it's still, it becomes exactly the same as what we're doing right here. We just happen to bring our devices together for the 6 of us or whatever. And the minute taker doesn't necessarily even have to be there as well. It could just be select persons and maybe Val, or maybe even Val doesn't even need to be there. I think there are lots of options.
Ian, do you think the microphones would create an echo since everybody's would have microphones on their computers that they'd need to?
No, because as long as you, I think, and I'd have to do some testing, as long as you just muted everyone's speaker and only had one speaker, let's say it was on the big TV, that was the sound coming from the Zoom thing, I think the microphones would just pick up. I don't think it would create an echo. It would be like just picking up the sound from each of us. But I'd have to do some testing to confirm. But you're right, we wouldn't want it where it's just turns into a cacophony of weird reverbation. But I think if we mute all of our machines apart from just one and have all the mics on picking up, I think it should be fine.
Yeah, we did that when we first went remote. Peeker and I were together, and one of us left our microphone and speaker on, and Peeker had his shut off so that we were only using one. I mean, the only downfall is he just sounded farther away when he was speaking.
Right, exactly. But for us, I think we would the microphones would be on. We wouldn't mute our mics. They would just pick up the sound from us and from other people. It would just be our speakers would be off apart from maybe the one big screen. But we would probably have to do a test if we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Valerie?
A little while ago, Darla forwarded some information about a device called the Owl. That is a combo microphone and camera device that sits at the center of a table, and it rotates as people are speaking, and it kept.
Right. Middlebury's town offices are using that for their meetings right now. I haven't tuned in to see how it works, but I'm told it's pretty cool.
Waitsfield does too, I'm told. And I'm told that it's very cool.
So the Owl is cool.
So if we want to be cool, we've got to get one of those.
But it's $1,000. And that's, if it's something that we want to try, I was thinking that would be something that the ARPA funds could be used for.
I was just going to say that. Can we use the CAREX money?
I would hope so. My goodness.
Or we don't meet in person and we just continue on Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is we've said that we're going to continue to do the Zoom even when we get back full time at the office. So I think we need a way that's easy for us to do it. And it sounds like maybe the Owl is the way to go.
Is there a way that we could borrow one to try to see if you liked it, and then we could then decide if we wanted to buy? I mean, there is some technology money that we appropriate every year. So like if it's $1,000 because this is the new way of the world,
right.
Shall we say but it would kind of be nice to try
Yeah.
Try it.
I think you can demo them, as speaker said. I think there's a way to be able to do that.
Okay. My last couple is, are we going to have a road trip this year? We talked about it. And Eric, I know Eric's on. I got a report of some potholes pretty deep on Devonall Lane.
He's nodding.
He's shaking his head, yes.
And then, like I said,
I've seen them marked, so they must.
Yeah,
he
somebody's
must know
going
about
around and painting them. I don't know. Is that you, Eric? Or?
No, he said no, it's not him.
Oh.
When our
I think
when our residents are painting
they
their
might have done that for the bike event. Mark the potholes so people won't.
Bike event's not going up to Devonall Lane.
Yeah, that's not for a couple weeks.
I think when our public is marking our potholes, it's saying something, people.
It's the pothole bandit.
Yeah. And then, are we going to have a road trip? I was asked the other day. I got to get a bus. That's it.
I thought we had decided yes, we would, and it wouldn't probably be until June.
Yeah, same as last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
All right.
And if we're all vaccinated, we don't even have to wear masks.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I got.
That's right.
Michelle.
I think only have one, and I don't think Meredith is on, but Val, Lat, and Ian, you might know this. They took the picnic tables down last year from that place on 116 there, took them apart, took them away, and they've never come back. So does anybody know where they're at? Because I thought Meredith had somebody who was going to redo them.
By the Lord's Prayer Rock, that one?
No,
No,
at the other end of South 116, where they swing off the rope, or the one before that, whichever it is.
just before the dry hydrant. They're on the left.
Yeah.
The old Whizzle trailer was.
Yeah, they were in pretty bad shape, as I recall.
Yeah, and I thought Meredith had somebody who I saw him taking them apart, and I thought he was going to redo them right there, but then they just disappeared.
Oh.
I'll check in with her.
That's all I got.
Michelle?
Yep.
Darla?
The only thing I have is I wanted to thank Eric. I got a call from someone on Spring Street. You can imagine who that might have been about the culvert being blocked up the other night, and I was able to get a hold of Eric, and he went right out and checked it out. He didn't find an obstruction at that point. I presumed that maybe up and cleared it out before he left because he was heading out for the weekend. But he was concerned about that culvert near the Luke's house near 50 Mountain Street, that it gets blocked up, and he was concerned about having to replace another furnace. So that's why I got the call. But I wanted to thank Eric for heading out there and checking that out so quickly.
At 3 a.m?
Yeah, what's Eric doing
This
at
one was
3 in the
not 3
morning?
in the morning.
Just his night,
It's
his
3 in the
early morning
afternoon.
drive.
It was 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it was 4:30 in the
Oh,
afternoon.
it was, you're right.
3:30 in the morning.
right. It was 3:30 in the morning. I thought it was.
But thanks,
And it was,
Eric. I appreciate
it was
that.
clean as a whistle.
Ian?
It was.
What have I got? I've got two things. A couple weeks ago, or maybe more than that, we had Water Commission VTUMS was going to remove the spray paint from Main Street. It's still there. I don't know if they're doing a second round of removal,
Yes,
but
they
it's
are.
still okay. Good. I wanted it because it looked like, I think they used spraying and maybe it didn't work, and so they're going to come back.
Correct.
But if they're going to do a second round, that's great.
Yes.
And then my other thing is I got an email from Melissa Hernandez, Recycled Reading, all to do with trash. She is concerned about the trash on Main Street, as myself and Joel always are. And it's already full, just sort of overflowing just from the weekend. It was picked up on Friday. It's already full today. So she's a little concerned about that. And I think, so two things. I'd like to have the trash pick up twice a day, as we did last year. I think that was very successful.
Twice a
And
day?
then
Twice a week.
Sorry,
Oh,
twice
okay.
a week. Or actually, twice a day.
Whoa!
Actually, twice a week. Sorry about that.
We are not
Yeah,
that
twice a
dirty.
week. Implement that for a set period of time, maybe 6 months. And, as we get into the season where it's colder outside, there's less trash, obviously. But now that it's getting warm, it'd be great to get them back on Mondays and Friday pickup. And
Monday
then
and Friday?
yeah, I think that's what they did
I thought it
before.
was Tuesday and Friday.
Or Tuesday and
I think
Friday.
that'll
Oh, it's supposed to be Monday and Friday.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, it slopped over into Tuesday if
Oh.
they
yeah, so
forgot. But
Monday and Friday, that would be great. And get that going as soon as possible. And then Melissa pointed me to the Addison County Solid Waste Management District. They have grants to get new trash cans where they'll pay 50% of the cost. And I didn't know about these grants. And she talked to someone at that facility who said they often have a pretty good kitty of money, because not a lot of people are applying for these. And so I'd like to go ahead and sort of start researching to get replacement trash cans, because the reason ours fill up, I've described numerous times, and it would like to get something different. And she also raised concerns about the way that our trash haulers are handling the recycling. Oftentimes the recycling, people put trash in the recycling and they say, and I've talked to them myself, the haulers, they say that, oh, it's contaminated. So the guy picking up, a person picking up, just dumps all of the recycling into the trash. And Melissa's concerned about the legalities of that, and that we could be held liable if the trash hauler is somehow spoken to by the state, because they're not supposed to do that. If there's some contamination, yes, but you're also supposed to be able to recycle what's can be recycled. So she was just had her concerns about that. But I think if new trash cans, either separate ones for trash, for recycling, for whatever, or one that just has a better design, is going to help us alleviate a lot of our problems.
We do have a grant application pending with the AARP.
Yeah.
For that.
Do we know when we hear from that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
And Valor, I know the last solid waste meeting I was at, yeah, Bristol has applied for funds for trash cans, and it is 50%. And I could put that, or you could put that request in, as you know, because we're both,
So even if we get the other grant, if they give us that grant, that's 50% of what maybe we have to come up with.
The AARP grant match requirement.
Yeah.
Well, can that be part of the match?
Could it be matched from another grant?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Certainly.
Like the way you think, Michelle.
Yeah.
And Ian, that solid waste district, they R&L is correct. If that has got any contamination on it, it just goes as trash. The solid waste district won't accept it. It's got to be clean recyclable.
Okay.
I mean,
So
and
yeah,
they
we
do
need,
that.
Pizza
They do
box
that
is
at the
not
dump.
clean.
They do
If
that
they
at the
throw the
dump
coffee
too,
cup and
Joe.
it spills all over, it's not clean anymore.
yeah, no, I know.
And if you don't rinse them out, it's garbage.
I know. I think it's just the design of
frustrating.
our cans where it's they're together is seen as the single receptacle. When someone sees, oh, one side is blocked up, I'll just throw everything on the other side. I think if we had separate cans or at least better delineation between the two, I think that'll help us.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed the trash can in front of Howden Hall, and I can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday, was full. Either that or there was a box on the top and they couldn't get it in.
It was
I'm
full.
not sure which.
They actually missed it. They didn't pick that one up on Friday.
Oh, okay.
They did the rest, but not that one. So yeah, I think we should apply for the grant, regardless of the ARP. The likelihood that we get that is slim to none. But we could wait to hear from that and then apply for the grant. And I'll do research into receptacles. I've found one, but I'd like to maybe look. And I wasn't thinking of sort of separate ones just because of cost. But if we can get matching funds, that obviously helps. So maybe we do need separate. I'll do some research on that.
The ones I applied for are the ones that you had already identified that the select board reviewed and appeared to bless. I also took photos of the ones that are in Rutland that are very similar to the design that you identified, the pillar with the very separate compartments, but they also use the faces of the bottoms, the bodies of the containers for marketing the downtown or other promotions, like check out what's happening in Rutland or events this summer, or that kind of thing.
Don't stay at the Quality Inn.
Yeah, I mean, that's people. If you're looking at that, they give you something to look at when you throw your trash away.
Or waiting for the bus or whatever.
Speaker, I got one more thing. That's okay.
Yep.
I want to just say thank you to everybody who participated in Green Up Day. I don't know if they've gotten the numbers yet, but I also want to thank Eric for picking up the trash and picking up the trash bag that I put down that went in the middle of the road, trying to figure out what happened. And thank you, Bruce, because he came to my rescue when I was out doing some green up and then I needed some help. So thank you.
Awesome. Ian, are you set?
I'm all set. Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Joel, Brett said that the firehouse is not available on the fourth Friday. So if we're thinking of using that, their training room is not open on that fourth Monday.
We use the upstairs of Holly Hall and utilize the screen that's up there.
Yeah, well, we'll have to figure it out, but he just wanted us to know that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have our downstairs room, which has the new TV that I installed about a year ago that we haven't used yet.
The same week of the shutdown.
Right.
No, Peeker and I used that once.
Yes.
Oh, that's true.
Peeker and I did use it.
You know, if we're vaccinated, then we'll be fine. It's just if we can all be vaccinated, then we're fine in that room. I mean, if people are comfortable with that. So just a thought.
Hey, I got two things. The Memorial Park sign is hanging by one chain. Are we aware of that? I figured you'd probably seen it when you came over through. So, and then the other thing is the community revitalization infrastructure investment. Are you through A&R? Are you familiar with that? It's for water and sewer for downtowns. And there's how much money? Like $35 million available, I believe.
Where are you reading that from?
It came from
A&R?
Yeah, from A&R.
Yeah.
Leo Casey, Director of Communications. I have the email. I can forward it to you.
Yeah, please do. It could be that I'm familiar with it because there are so many different programs with different names. And new ones coming.
Yeah, this is money to upgrade downtown infrastructures, I guess.
Well, we like money.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll forward it to you.
Thank
Great.
you.
And that's all I have. Now I gotta get back to my agenda now that
Town administrator's report.
Yeah, town administrator's report.
there you go.
Well, hopefully folks had a chance to glance at some of the updates that I included this time in my report about the West Street slope repair, Maple Avenue sidewalk scoping project, the pump house generator and stormwater final design projects are out to bid. The assessor position, as I noted, we received no responses by the April 30th deadline, so it has been re-advertised. It'll be in this week's paper, and it'll be more broadly distributed than I think it was initially. And the deadline has been extended to June 10th.
Okay.
I want to mention that one of our Bristol police officers has regretfully submitted his resignation for personal reasons, and he served the town well, and certainly we wish him well and all the very best. And Ted Lilas is working on birthday celebration for Bill James on Fitch Avenue for his 110th birthday, scheduled for July 4th. The birthday is July 5th, but he's aiming for a celebration on July 4th. He reached out to us in terms of any kind of town approvals that might be necessary. And while it technically probably did qualify as under the public assembly ordinance, there's really, this particular event didn't conform to the application process we have. So we've accepted his outline as his application, and he's coordinating with all the folks that need to be involved.
Right.
Yeah, and the sidewalk replacement RFP will be out this week, and also with a deadline of June 10th. That's all I have.
Which one? That's the East Street
and Parks.
Okay.
Yeah, Park Place.
Okay, other business, correspondence reports.
There was the banner application.
Right.
Let's see if I can.
make a motion to approve the banner application.
Second,
Further discussion?
I guess
Manny wants to put up a banner in.
Celebrating seniors.
Celebrating
okay, yeah,
seniors.
like that, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Came
like
in
they did last year.
super late.
Yeah, just tell them to be more timely next year.
Yeah.
Or in the future, I should say.
Yeah, tell them to give it to us in April and say effective date this day.
Why is it?
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carried. Do we have an executive session?
No, I don't believe we do.
Oh my God, are we really done? Hi,
It's
Eric.
8:40. The genius idea of putting time limits on has helped us.
Yeah, well, count your blessings this month.
Right. I just want
I
to
think-
throw out something, if I can
I
just.
think we got lucky.
Go
Hey,
ahead,
Eric
Valerie.
has a couple things.
Okay. but
Valerie's
before-
up first.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I see that Bruce and Brett and Eric often, and Jen and Sharon often join the select board meetings. And though they might not have a specific agenda item, we go through them. I wonder if we want to add an agenda item for any kind of department head updates that folks just might want to spontaneously share, as long as they're here and we're all here and it's an opportunity to put some information out.
Absolutely.
Do we want to do it?
You to put people on the spot, because it just occurred to me. I'm seeing the name.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't ask her to do an update now when they're not ready.
No, no.
Oh, I know.
But
Yeah.
I think that would be useful.
It's a future agenda item.
At least once a month to do that, or one meeting per month to have them join
Yeah,
and give an
I
update would be
agree.
great.
Would that be plus or minus 1 hour?
Where,
Tell them they're limited to like 10 minutes.
5 minutes each.
where do we want to put it on the agenda? Do we want to put it early so they don't have to stay for the whole meeting? I mean, they typically are
Yeah.
there for the whole meeting, but Or,
Yeah, I think early is better.
I would do
Yeah.
early.
okay. So, I mean, I'm just trying to get some guidance for Valerie so she doesn't
Yeah.
put it on. You know, we have a meeting, it goes till 11 o'clock and it's the
Right.
night they're supposed to give their update and
Right.
they have to stay there when they've got things to do in the morning. So,
I
And
mean,
I'm
can we put it
wondering if
under regular business just as a first item in regular business?
right, and I'm thinking it would be something a bit more flexible, that it's just a standing item. And
Yep.
if folks have something to share, that's an opportunity for them to do it. If they don't, then move on to the next thing.
perfect.
That way there's no pressure, there's, you know, it's a window.
Right.
If they choose to use it.
And you said Eric had something? I see he's unmuted.
Yeah, two things is, one is the guys want to start their summer hours. And they'd like to try 10-hour days, 4 10-hour days. The second thing is the York rake that we don't use. Was wondering if you guys would be considering on selling it.
Obviously somebody wants to buy it, huh?
Yeah. So I told them I would ask at this meeting.
Another town or a private individual?
Private individual.
I guess I mean, if we don't ever use it,
I say we put it on Craigslist.
well, I was gonna say, somebody's got to have an idea what it's worth.
Right.
So, I mean, somebody,
So
it's a York, right?
Yes.
I mean, whoever sells York ought to be able to give you a rough idea or at least a range of what it's worth, and then we can make a decision based on that.
Okay.
Well, and if you're gonna put it up for sale, can you just pick somebody, or don't you have to put it out there?
I want to put it out there.
In the past, we've requested bids.
Find the value for it, and then, you know,
Yeah, find a value and we'll.
did the old snowplow for $10 or whatever it was.
Yeah, if we find a value, then we can put it on, or we can advertise it with a minimum bid. And then whoever's interested if they're interested at that price, can bid. If they're not, then I think that's the fairest way to do it. That way it's advertised and everybody gets a chance.
Yep.
Okay, what about their 4 10-hour days versus what do you normally do? 4 9-hour days and then half a day Friday or?
Yep.
I do know that we have one employee out right now, and he's not able to work 10-hour days. I mean, he said in the past that he doesn't even like the 9-hour days, but he goes along with it. So I don't know. I don't know when he's scheduled to be back, but I know that.
I don't either.
I'd like somebody coming in. I'd like to see us stay at the 9 and 4, Eric, because it's in the morning, that Friday morning, to go and check stuff and make sure things are okay for the weekend. And
yeah, that's fine. They wanted me to ask.
So with Eric, with that suggestion, that means that there'd be no one coming in on Friday?
Right.
If we went with the 4 10-hour days, correct.
Okay.
Could it be staggered? So
Nope.
it can't be staggered. Okay. I was gonna say, could it
You
cover
don't
different
wanna-
ends of the
with
weekend?
vacation time and everything, if you stagger it, we'll have days where there won't be anybody there it won't be good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then there won't be anybody to ride around with, and that would be even worse.
No, it would just mean that I'd have to come in every day, and I'm not doing it if they're doing 4 10-hour days.
Well, no, that wasn't I don't want to make you work more. That wasn't my point. I was just trying to figure out how to make it
Right,
work.
so you'd have someone coming in on Friday. It would push their schedule, like one
Right.
employee.
If somebody was there, wasn't there Monday, they worked to the Friday, that kind of thing.
Right. You could do that, but then that's what I'm saying is I would still have to come in on Fridays to give the orders and stuff of what's going to be done during that day.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
would
Not
still
if-
want to
not
go in
if-
5 days a week.
Not if you plan ahead and you have a schedule of what's got to be done. I mean, that's something that
Mhm.
you're gonna have to do, because heaven forbid something happened to you, Eric. Nobody there now knows what to do.
Yeah, but well, you know as well as I do, in this field, you can have a schedule, but it doesn't mean it's gonna go by that schedule.
I totally get that, but I mean, you can have a schedule of work that has to be done and prioritize it, and there's a list there,
Put it
and
on the grease board, Eric.
there's a list there. So if for some reason Eric gets a hangnail and can't come in today, the guys aren't lost. They have a schedule. They know what needs to be done. And there's always going to be emergency work, but that list should always be there so that if you're not there or you can't be there, they know what to do.
Or at least what's on the project list that they
Yeah.
can do.
And it may not be, it may not be something they can do unless you're there, but they can go to the next thing on the list.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good point.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll just stick with the 9s and the 4. That's fine.
we're still going to want that list, Eric.
Yeah.
We'll stick with the 9s and the 4s.
I think that's your better bet, as much as they'd like to have 4 10-hour days and have their Fridays off. They do have the majority of Friday off.
Yeah.
The other side of that is if they really want Friday off, it's only 4 hours of vacation time.
Vacation
that they're
time.
losing.
Yeah.
It's not like they're losing a whole day to take Friday off. Which is something you might ought to consider if you can have a set schedule for Friday. If there's something that they do, if it's something that's repetitive, then maybe you take Fridays off so that you end up using more of your time.
Well, I use all my time as it is.
You don't use all your time.
Oh yeah, Jen, I got it all done. Don't laugh.
We all know better, Eric.
Didn't we force you to take vacation? I seem to remember that.
You did last year.
Wasn't it 3 weeks last year or the week year before?
I got it pretty much. I got it almost down to 1 day I might be missing, but
Just
Well,
let's get
that's
some
good to hear.
let's get some brochures of places you might want to go, and we'll lay them out in the town offices. So when you come in, you can start seeing those, get some ideas.
here you go.
It's too bad billboards are illegal. We could put them up on the way to Starksville. So you can-
No, you just plant them out in front at the end of his driveway so he sees them every time he goes out or in.
Yeah.
so his wife
You-
sees them.
You send his email to places.
All right.
Sorry, Eric, we're just
Anything else
harassing
for the
you.
good of the order here?
Peter, just how did you guys, I'm sorry I was late, long ball game, 5 innings, 33-7.
Well, the varsity was 12-2, 5 innings, 6 innings.
6, had to go 7 for 12-2. But anyway, how'd you do on the review of the tree root removal?
McAuliffe.
McCullough, okay, I figured that. So I read that. Okay.
Quick question on the York rake. Do we have another one?
No.
No, we only have the one.
Do we need it? Do we need something? Or do we have some other device that does the same thing if we need
The
it?
grader,
Oh, the
the grader
grader.
has a bit system on it now, which basically does the same thing that the York rake did.
Okay.
We haven't used the York rake in probably 25 years now, or better.
Wait, is there anything else we haven't used in 25 years we can sell?
Right.
What about those lampposts?
Come on,
Did you ever sell those?
we're trying to get you a new building, Eric. Start selling stuff we don't use.
That's right.
This is definitely a little bit of concrete for that building.
This capital
Anything
building
else?
stuff we're putting in here.
Come on, we're early here. Let's not waste it by
That's true. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
further discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your
Both
hand.
hands.
Motion carried. Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Thanks,
Good
Eric.
night, everybody.
Good night, Jimmy.
Valerie, are you still?
Bye, guys.
Valerie, I have a meeting, or it's got to see Richard Ram tomorrow morning You want me to tell him start next Tuesday and Fridays? I recommend Tuesday morning because it'd be 6 o'clock instead of Monday morning.
Who are we talking about?
The trash
Arnett.
pickup.
Trash pickup. I got to meet with him tomorrow morning.
Sure. Yeah.
Just tell him starting next Tuesday. So I think you go Tuesday through the 1st of, about like Ian said, about 1st November.
Or beginning of the week, whichever day he can manage the best. And it might be Monday, it might be Tuesday, depending.
Okay, I'll leave that up to him. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, bye.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.
Good night.
See you, Jimmy.